So just thought I'd go through these again because I've added some more things in now. So we've got here's the Tumultuous Petitioning Act. I still haven't got the complete total original handwritten one that Parliament's got, because they're saying that it's not available at the moment because they're moving their things. But this one supposedly is. This one was published in the 1800s, so it's meant to be accurate, actually, in an old book. So this is meant to be. Still want to see the old one just to make sure the words are exactly the same. But what is of interest to me are these two little bits at the side. Now, usually in the legislation that we normally look at in books like this, for example, in the representation of the people, those side sections there, where the little notes are down the edge, little kind of like index notes down the side, they are usually the title of the offence. For example, in the Representation of the People Act, you might have illegal police canvassing, for example. It's usually like a little bit of a summary of what it's about, usually like noting the offence or the title of it. And I was particularly interested. Now, remember, this is a book that someone else has published of the law, but compiled volumes of different acts. So this is not actually written this is not actually the government, just write an act of law. They don't write little notes down like this. This is just like the author's notes. So here, I've zoomed into them in a minute because I was interested to see what they've put. And the first copy the woman got me, it had sort of like removed it. So here it says, these are the notes we've got. Tumultuous and disorderly preparing of petitions, a great occasion of the late wars and calamities. So it's saying it's about the tumultuous or disorderly preparing of petitions. Well, I don't know what's disorderly about it. I don't think that's an accurate description because there is no order. If you're not doing it over 20 people, there is no order. So I don't see an order to it. If you're wanting more than 20 people, there has to be an order. But that's not disorderly. That's just excessive without consent. Now, maybe if you've got to do consent before you do it, they're making an order, but only due to excessive numbers of people. Now, this is what is strange. Down here, right, it says, no person after the date of 1661 shall solicit, procure any petition for altering any established law in church or state. Well, that actually is wrong because it's making it only say that no one can do it. Well, you can do it. Anyone can do it. And, that actually is at the bottom. But that part actually should come first. But really, these two little bits here, that I don't know why they've put two separate parts to it, because firstly, they both mean the same thing. They're both referring to the same thing. They're not even referring to anything different, right? And I think that they're leaving out quite a bit of information. There's actually three things. There's three main points to this act, right? And these two little side notes here don't cover those three things. In fact, they both both these two don't even cover two of them. Really, they both only cover pretty much one of them, and then it's duplicated but in different words. So what we've got is two little side paragraphs that say the same thing in different words, right? So they're not really explaining what the act is about or what the offences are in it or the processes that are laid out. They're just laying one thing out and then duplicating that and then changing the words on one of the duplication so it looks like it's two different things, but it's the same thing in two different words, right? Now, so this is the act which we've looked at. That's the act. So what does the act say? What does the act say? So what the act says, I've written it out here really simply, right? This is actually what the act, if I was going to write side notes about what the points were in the act, but also if I was going to write them out in a proper order as they appear in the act as well, if you're going to write the notes at the side, at least you write them at the side and in order as you're going down, right? Like as you go down, but they don't do that. So I've written them out here. This is what the act is making summarized, right? So first there's an offence, and it makes an offence the soliciting, labouring or procuring of signatures or other consent to petitions, remonstrance or complaints over the number of 20 persons. That is the offence. Basically soliciting, labouring, procuring of signatures or other consent to petitions or remonstrances or complaints over 20 people, which are addressed to the King or either House of Parliament concerning matters of law, church or state, without getting consent of a judge or jury from the hundreds, assizes or quarter sessions, right? Now, the main words in that offence, I think, are this procuring, and I've got the dictionary out from the old dictionary to see, just check on that, and the consent. Now, why don't they want us to get the consent? What they're doing is they're saying that the soliciting, labouring and procuring of signatures is a consent. It's saying that is a form of consent, right? So it's saying you're not allowed to, it's saying that if there's over 20 people, you aren't allowed to get consent, right? Until you've got consent. But what is the consent? So what it's doing is it's confirming that the signatures that you procure, solicit or labour or get people to agree to is a consent. Right, so you've got a consent. This is a legal consent, right? And they don't want more than 20 people giving consent. But that means that I think that they are I think that there is something in that to do with these people who are subscribed or signed up to, sworn into the petition. You can't get more than 20 people sworn into it or subscribed or signed to it, or well they actually are consenting to it, right? unless you get consent. So it's saying that, what it's saying is that judges or a jury can give consent to this thing, but it's also acknowledging that your 20 signatures or less also are a consent to it, right? So if you're, 5, 10, 15, 20 people are consent, right? That is a consent. But then also a judge and assize's consent is a consent if over 20 people. So the question is, can we confirm that the consent of the persons who would sign it or whatever under 20 is legally, as long as it's under 20, is that a lawful equivalent of the justices or jury consent if over 20? Now that is where we're really on the subject. Is the consent of the persons signed if under 20 a legal equivalent of effect as the consent of the jury and justices if over 20 people, right? Just that it needs to be consent of judge and jury, but if under 20, it can be consent of the whoever, right? That's the thing. If those two consents, regardless of, if large number of people or small, are the same legal consent, then you have got consent either way, through either means, and therefore surely your petition and its activities and actions are with consent. Now, that's number one. So it's an offence if you... really, the offence is... I think the offence is getting the consent, because you're not allowed to get the consent. That's the thing. You're not allowed to get the consent of more than 20 people unless you get consent. Ironically, you have to go to a grand jury. So basically it means that, you have to go to get a large, serious consent. You have to go to a large, serious jury to get permission to get large, serious consent. Now the second part is your court of civil request. So that is that. So how do you get consent? Well, this is by number 2. So the offence is if over 20 persons and you don't get consent, then that's an offence. But if you're going to go over 20 people, then you have to get consent. Okay, so we'll do that. So that's number 2. So the method of getting the consent of more than 20 people from the judges or grand jury. Well, that is you do that by the court of civil requests. So that's what William Penn failed to do. William Penn was tried in the Old Bailey for under 1, because they had a spontaneous remonstration in the streets regarding matters of religion, or they were accused of pursuing the consent, not signed, it says consent or other, like nods or eyes or whatever. William Penn and William Mead were accused of spontaneously gathering people together to consent by other means than signature to a religious matter, which so claimed to Parliament or whatever, or they were going to or intending to. And that's why they ended up in the court. And what actually happened is the jury said that they were just talking in the street. They weren't doing such. They weren't doing petitioning. They weren't. They were not even doing such activities. They were just speaking to people in the street. So the jury said that they were even doing a petition. Now the thing is, this is the thing that you got to get your head around. So only because of the number of people, right? So the thing with the William Penn case is it really is a classic case, because this is why it's a classic case, because so if the jury don't think that they were doing petitioning at all, then they can't be charged with this offence, because they weren't doing these activities, right? But if they were doing the activities lawfully, under 20 people, and had consent, that consent gives them the indemnity under the Act, under the jurisdiction of Parliament, because that's who it's to, not of the other courts. So the other courts won't be able to touch them in their activities, only Parliament, right? But if it's over 20 signatures without consent from the court, then it's an offence. If they're doing petitioning. But if they did get consent of the court or the jury, then they could have as many people as they wanted, and they would have the indemnity of the document because they got the consent with it. But if it's under 20 people, the consent of the 20 people is enough, as long as it stays under 20 people, for indemnity. So it's almost kind of like, this. That's why that act of indemnity is important, and it is getting being exempted from the act of indemnity. You're almost, by getting excessive amounts of people, you're being exempted from the indemnity of the consent of the 20 people, because you didn't get permission from more people. And then the second offence, because number 2 is not an offence, that's the way by which you seek consent. So that's like it's a legal proceeding to pursue to obtain consent. The second offence is simply more than 10 persons presenting or delivering a petition or demonstration to any member of a operating Parliament or the King, or any other time, an excessive number of people, right? So no more than 10 people can present it, regardless of if Parliament is operating or not. And if Parliament is operating, it can't be more than 10 people anyway. So that's so one of the offences is delivering or appearing. Maybe the word appearing, appearing before the King or appearing at Parliament to deliver any demonstration, remonstration, or documents. So there's 2 different offences, but there's also a procedure as well, a civil procedure. The civil procedure is what I'm really interested in. Because we've got what we've actually got with the William Penn case. I've got the full documentation of that I've put on there. Is that we get a insight into proceedings. We get an insight into what was said, what was spoken in the court, actual accounts from people at the time, and it seems very corrupt, like I believe the magistrates' courts are corrupt to this very day. In fact, I've experienced very similar experiences to William Penn and William Mead, like Extinction Rebellion have as well. Some people have had positive outcomes in court, depending on who they get and what the circumstances are. So So the William Penn and Mead is actually under number 1 on here. So it's actually it's something under the Tumultuous Petitioning Act, but it was a very unique case because it's very there's so many it's a multifaceted case. It's just like and really what I'd like to find is something of similar detail and explanation, something similar document, same. I'd like to find the same sort, like, you know, the same type of material, but for 2 on here. Someone actually going through the proper civil request process to get consent and see what happens in those proceedings and when they get it or when they don't. That's what I really like to read now, or find. Someone going through that procedure, what was said, what they're talking about, if they mention indemnity and things like that, and get some people some kind of hard evidence they exist and that they're using it or got consent to use it or discussed it even or talked about it. Because it seems to me like if we can get the evidence into as much dialogue or detail as a William Penn case, in maybe, I don't know, however many cases there are, it will help to confirm or prove that the same may apply once they get consent with over 20 people from the jury or court, that the same might have applied already if they only had 20 signatures or less from getting the signatures. If those 20 signatures are under, if there's evidence in dialogue that would grant the same to those 20 people as it would grant over 20 people being given consent by a judge and jury, then we're on, because then you've got indemnity comes with it, like the police when they're kicking doors through and nutting people and touching. Well, no one wants to molest anyone, but they're question. You know, they do what they want. Oh, it's Section 42. You know, throw whatever they want at it. You know. It's just reel it off, don't they? But when you reel it off, and even more accuracy in detail, you know, Section 42 of what? You know, Class F of the Town and Country Planning Act 2007. Material. This is a advertisement. I am putting a model on the street, and if it is left in a dangerous condition, well, you know, tough. I'm not responsible or liable for any consequences of that. You know, this is it. But then the police just, you know, out of the way, peck. You know, they don't care. They are not operating by law. They operate by force, by backup, confidence, backup, force, equipment, manpower, not law. And the fact that no one can prosecute them through the courts. I mean, if you had like your own prosecution, like your own, Crown Prosecution Service, so your personal PPS, your personal prosecution service, and a little mobile booking room, then you could book them. I mean, if you had a couple of bodyguards as well, you could grab all of them and arrest them. You know, you're under arrest for illegal police canvassing. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand? You're being detained. Your radios have been taken off you. So you do not unlawfully, cause disruption to these proceedings. Cuff them, question them, get them booked in. You could probably, I think you can turn up at a magistrate's court and wait till there's a gap or sessions are finished. You can get matters put in front of a magistrate's court. You know, like you can go in and watch and stuff like that. There are proceedings where you can turn up in a magistrate's court and you can make requests or get something kind of like heard if they've got time. You probably could just get them booked in. It's not impossible. I think you could rock up. I mean, you could get them tucking in with bodyguards. Possibly just take them in there and ask if they've got time for a hearing. You could get affidavit straight in. This is possible. The thing is, we pay for the CPS. We pay for the Crown Prosecution Service ourselves. You keep hearing all these people saying more bobbies, more bobbies, more bobbies, but we've all got mobile phones. Why do you need to buy more bobbies, more cameras on the chests, more radios and that, and a lot of the crimes, people have got photographs, evidence. There's a lot of waste of time, on the phone to police, waiting half an hour, get them to ring you back, messing around. Now, all right, there's a stolen thing, right? Get a photograph of it, who is this person, you just get into the CPS. I think there's a lot of wasted resources with the police, probably billions for the amount of crimes now. We've all got cameras. We've all got photograph cameras, audio recording equipment to take statements. A lot of the things are quite simple and easy to find. The whole thing with the police flying around in helicopters and that lot, fair enough. But they really are. One minute they're saying, enforce each other, but what happens is we all end up bossing each other, blocking and banning each other, the slightest niggle, the slightest thing, like you can't even buy out any services online because someone wants to block you. It becomes antisocial. What they're doing is they're making laws that are so fantastically ridiculous that they're actually making social behaviour antisocial, and they're making people not want to socialise if people don't if they don't think it's not the law makes things legal and illegal, and then policy makes things desirable to a company or not. But now we've got a whole new level, which is like this enforcement of personal preference. Now, enforcement of personal preference is like, don't like the smell of this, don't like the smell of that, or don't like the look of this, or don't like the look of that. Literally like, browsing a freaking, catalogue or something. And that's how they're treating people now, like a catalogue, if they got punters coming for business, it's like, I don't like this person, small local businesses can't afford to do that, but online, you get treated like a catalogue. Literally, humans are getting treated like catalogue listings now. As if they're flicking through dating sites or whatever. Business is not meant to be social. It's not social. It's business. There's trading standards and consumer rights. Zuckerberg's created like a world. It literally is like dehumanization. It's like a world of likes and dislikes. It's like thumbs up, thumbs down world, right? But if Rishi Sunak started writing laws that were based on likes and dislikes, not on what seriously might be hurting someone or upsetting them or harmful, the laws based on actual harm, this is dangerous, there's an edge of a cliff there, or, this is a toxic chemical, or not like, oh yeah, I don't like purple, Sunak now, and Braverman and Patel, they're on this, mission, I don't like orange, is policy, accept, submit, consent, no, I don't like orange, it's like, no blue, no, get out of my house, you're wearing a blue jacket, get the fuck out of my house now, you're wearing a blue jacket, now I'll phone the police. You might laugh, but this is what I'm experiencing now. I'm experiencing this now. People are just like, I don't like you. So, I'm not going to do business with you because you're wearing a green jacket, or I'm not going to do business with you because you use the word the, or I'm not going to do business with you because, you tell jokes, or I'm not going to do business with you because you smell funny. This is where we've got to with these women. This is like Lucy Fraser land. You know, this is like what the world, according to Lucy Fraser, if they continue the way they're doing, this actually is what they're creating, and the police love it. You got a paperclip in your pocket, or just stupid shit, and this. They're trying to, we're looking for antisocial behaviour. What they're actually looking for is social behaviour. And the term antisocial behaviour is that they're making it so we're not social. So we're antisocial. Because human social interactions is what you see when you watch chimpanzees, which is experimentation, laughing, happiness, sadness, everything that it is to be a creature. These people aren't creatures. There's something seriously wrong with them. It's the scandal of it, the hypocrite, the irony of it, and I'm experiencing it now online. I really don't know what algorithms and computer programs Zuckerberg and his world-class leading team are doing, but I've seen people, piss up, £1 billion up the wall and add more of a party than these people are having, that's for sure. They're pissing billions up the wall at a time. It's like on the cutting edge, the cutting edge algorithm technology, or cutting edge algorithm technology, Google world ranking fucking psychology team, my fucking ass. You get more psychology from Jimmy Dore show, and this is a guy who speaks in front of Congress. Yes, Jimmy Dore has spoken in front of Congress as well as Mark Zuckerberg, and Jimmy Dore wasn't sat there facing a grilling from, the senators. Throw a load of money at it. This must be the world's leading psychology team because we got the AI algorithms. Well, the AI algorithms that are Nupti designed. This is it. They're not the world's leading psychologists. They think they are the world leading psychologists. It's like a baker who bakes a cake and it's shit. The crap. Hey, look, we just baked this world leading, soup machine or something. It's naff. It's like, this is great. No, it's not. It's crap. Almost like the weird, odd furniture that they're coming out with, in the airports in Japan and China. Hey, come lay down in the airport. Let's go to sleep. Hey, it's okay. You're in the airport now. You can sit on the floor, crawl the walls like on The Exorcist. You can do what you want in the airport if you've paid for it. You can hang yourself from meat hooks or whatever you want. But if you're in LA, you can't lay down on a fucking bench, or whatever, or sit on the floor. Even though you paid for it, I'm a citizen, we paid the tax for the street, but, if you're on a plane to fucking Singapore, you can crawl up the fucking walls like The Exorcist with red spinning round, me take picture, this is like, this is true. This is what they're doing to the place. And there's this, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is trying to find out why people are just like going with getting a gun and then going shooting up a school, like something twinges, like so it pushes a nerve or twinges a nerve in their brain, and they just like he wants to know, like, is it the movies doing it, is it films? Because like this is a Robert Kennedy Jr. saying, like, that loads of people used to have guns and rifles, but there weren't all these weird shooting incidents, right? What is pushing them over the edge, or what is provoking them? Well, I say this, there wasn't all these people doing all these weird blocking and banning things before. This button pushing over next to nothing. And I think that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would find the answer and get onto the trail if he looked at these social media platforms and if he sees, like, the button as the trigger of the gun that these people are pushing, right? Why are they pushing these buttons on these websites? Why are these women pushing these buttons when you haven't really done anything wrong to them? In fact, you purchased something they were offering, and then they said, "Oh no, I'm not doing that for that price." Well, why have you got it for sale for that price then? You know, there's no logic to it. It's like, oh, there's a bunch of bananas there for $6.50. All right, I'll have a bunch of bananas for $6.50. No, you can't have it. It's not $6.50. Well, why the fuck did you list it for $6.50 then? And then they push a button like, like, well, I'm blocked. Why am I blocked from buying the bananas at $6.50? There's something wrong with it. This button pushing, and I strongly believe that is the thing that Kennedy is looking for, but that is it in its mildest form. But this is the origin, this is the manifestation of what's happening at a kind of like weaker level, and then as it gradually strengthens, then it's not just like blocking someone or pushing the button, it's kind of like, getting up a gun and fucking pulling the trigger, going to a school and pulling the trigger. That's on the extreme side, but you've got to fill in between where it's starting and what it's getting to. Maybe he's right. Maybe it's the video games, pulling the triggers on the video games. But I think it's more than that. It's something to do with like and don't like, and encouraging like a response. And then you've got these different stages of responsiveness that slowly gain intensity up to, starting with, someone just fucking uses a word that you don't like, or so you press a button, all the way up to the gun. I mean, I think that that's it with the monkey and the banana. They've got these monkeys with this Frogger game or whatever. They've got like tennis game or whatever it is, and they're getting the monkey to like suck on this I don't know, strawberry rock or whatever he's doing, and like he's playing the video game, the Frogger game. What they've actually done is they've managed to get people to be very antisocial. Like, usually you have a laugh with someone, have a joke, be humorous, be human, have character, or even get used to different characters. Now, you can't even have a conversation, a debate. No one wants to tell you anything about themselves. Everyone's paranoid, or it's antisocial. And what I think Mark Zuckerberg has done is he's actually invented antisocial. He's invented it, and he's cranked it up. People don't want to be social now. They want to be antisocial. Yet the police are going around arresting people for acting a certain way because someone else doesn't want them to act that way. So the police are doing it in parks and stuff like that. Now, I admit some of the behaviour is annoying, like if kids are kicking the ball around to try and annoy you, or juveniles or whatever. But, kicking a ball, I mean, that's, maybe that's, on the way to, pulling a gun trigger. Why do they kick the ball? What they're even doing there? They're bored, well, haven't they got a football pitch to play on? Usually, someone else is doing something more interesting, but they don't really want to get involved, but they want to mess other people's stuff up, that probably figures into it as well, somewhere on there. I mean, there was that film called Kids, wasn't there, when that playground incident, when someone got a skateboard and hit someone around the head with it, or something like that, some incident. That's another film that along those sort of lines. You can. I don't think it's that hard to fill it in between, to be honest. I think the platforms are responsible for it, and I don't. The thing is, they're claiming that they're doing all this great work. Oh yeah, we're doing amazing work where we've got all these programs running, we're learning loads of science, we're learning loads of things. Yeah, you fucked everyone up, you fucked it up. You fucked it, and now they wanted consent, submit, accept, and then they got the police arresting everyone for literally FA, sweet FA. But then they've got all these people who are actually doing something really actually bad, probably because they're being treated like crap when they haven't even done anything wrong. So then they end up going on the streets and taking it out on everyone else. After you've been literally trying to enjoy yourself and socialise, but everyone's, not tolerating anything, it'll drive anyone to go outside and, take it out on people probably, I don't think they've solved problems. I think that they've made the problems worse, and they've made a hell of a lot of money out of it and taken all the credit for it as well. They think that they're, they think they're the shit. Hey, we're the shit. Money, billions, advertising. But really, they're just college students who haven't got a fucking clue what the fuck they're doing. They're just chucking money around. Hey, this team, that team, it's Harvard fucking science, psychology research team. Hey, we got a load of fucking computer program widgets and, tested them out. And we found that, people prefer red lipstick to yellow if it tastes like a fucking balloon. If it tastes like rubber, they like the lipstick more than if it tastes like a fucking strawberry donut. That's a great experiment. Very useful, but actually when you look at it, it's just crap. It's a lot of tosh. It's just, a wasted day, a wasted fucking, a complete and total absolute wasted university course, it's not working. This is the thing. And then you get Biden, he's the president. If Biden's the president, then I hate to see, who's the president of the university, who's the current president of Harvard, maybe they should swap. Maybe Biden should be the president of Harvard, and then maybe the Harvard president should try be president of the United States of America for a change. Maybe Zuckerberg should be the president. We can keep an eye on him more closely then, It would be interesting if Zuckerberg was the president of the United States of America, at least for a day or something. I ended up going into a massive conversation about all that, and I just wanted to do this. There's offences. That's what it said at the side of those notes, but typed out. So to procure, to get, to gain, to obtain, by request, loan, effort, labour, or purchase, to cause, to bring about, to effect, to contrive, to effect, to cause, to... So basically this is just to actually... Where's the other dictionary term? To procure. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, if you've got a grievance, or if you've got a problem, you want to cure it, to fix it, so a procure. So a professional cure would be to get evidence and get people to agree or subscribe to the evidence and to go about fixing the problem, to procure. Procure. So the petition itself is a procure for a problem. To manage business for another court. To manage business for another court. Is that really... This is from the Webster's 1913 dictionary, and it's actually using the word court in procure, if this is for real. To manage business for another court. Well, that's what they do when you have to go and get your 20 signatures. Parliament's managing the business. Procure, to bring into possession, to cause, to accrue, to or come into possession of, to acquire or provide from self. Maybe that's also the obtaining of evidence as well. Maybe the obtaining of evidence. So if you need to procure, then maybe the police procure evidence. Maybe you could procure, you procure, well, the signatures are the evidence and witness statements, so to procure, isn't it? if you've got indemnity, you definitely are pro, and you are going to go about bringing a cure to bring to possession, to continue to bring about effect to cause, by all means possible, they procure to have gold and silver among them reproach. So the thing is, going back to those clauses, so these are the amendments. These are the actual amendments. The offences under the following enactments are abolished. So this is where I think they go wrong with government, because this is 1986 when they abolished that act, and they've only got one offence listed, and that is in section 1 of the Tumultuous Petitioning Act, presenting of petition to monarch or parliament accompanied by excessive number of persons. Well, actually, it's over 10. It's more than 10 persons, not just excessive. But there's another offence as well, is procuring the signatures of more than 20 persons. So there's two different offences, and they don't refer to the other one. So I don't know how they can abolish an act when there's two different offences and they're only listing one. And here, this is it, the whole act repeals. Extent of repeal, the whole act, but it only pulls one offence down. Now, prior to that, this is the thing. So this is in 1967 with the assisting offenders in the Criminal Law Act 1967. So they make an amendment to the Tumultuous Act, and this is before the assizes become the Crown Court as well. And they say they're changing section 1 in the words "at the court" to quarter sessions, but it was already quarter sessions. We know that in there it's got the word quarter sessions already in the first section and in the second section. So why would you say that you're changing the words from "at the court" to quarter sessions when it was already at the quarter sessions in the first place? So that's a lie. That is wrong, and it's a lie, and it's in legislation. It's actually recorded on legislation government website. So the government are lying to us about acts of law, right? Acts of law that are lying about. But why? Why would you say that you're changing it to quarter sessions and before it was just at the court? Now, they abolished the quarter sessions not long after this anyway, when they scrapped the assizes. So, but all the records are at the assize. What happened to the assizes records with the court of the court of civil requests? The assizes, right? And what about all the hundreds? There was some records in the hundreds courts and in the minute books and so forth of all the courts, right? So there's something odd going on. Why would they do that? Why would it matter whether the court sessions or not? Well, we know that they put a lot of the crime into the magistrates' courts because the quarter sessions and assizes were only like periodically, like 4 times a year, and then they scrapped them shortly after this anyway, and they put a lot of the crime into the magistrates' court or into the Crown Court without a jury. And then they start to scrap the jury. I'm wondering if they're when people are trying to find the trail or the scent and find out about this or know about it or study it, I wonder if they're trying to hide it or cover it up or confuse people where to look. They might have even destroyed records or hidden things. And this, if you're looking for it, but then again, why would you have it in there or even mention it? I'm not sure. But the principle of assisting offenders, the basis of assisting offenders is that if you're pursuing criminals or someone in a case of any kind under any legal jurisdiction, then no one can obstruct you or get in your way, and you are effectively like the police. You've got authority to do certain things that other people can't do, and that's what we do with petitioning. So that's the point. So these are a few little interesting things with all this, what I found. And really we want to try and get to the truth of the signatures. Although the 1688 Bill of Rights seems to, if you read that line and apply it, then that's it. But it seems that solves all. But the courts that seem to want to apply it. And then to what extent? Well, I think to what extent it applies is not to the courts. It applies because you're already going to the Court of Parliament, and they will decide about, and I think that's why in the 1688 Parliament records, it's always going about, the King's going about, the Act of Indemnity and whether people are exempted out of it or not. Well, that will be to be decided. It seems like Parliament have exempted everyone out of the right to petition because they're not granting anyone it and even acknowledging it exists. In fact, we've all been exempted out of submitting petitions to Parliament because they keep rejecting them all. And we also don't get any casework support or anything. Labour Party and Tories just seem to do the dilly-dally what the hell they want. And then we end up with a complete and total corrupt electoral system where we've got loads of councillors helping, engaging in elections when they shouldn't be doing, and other corruptions. So,